Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about multiple upcoming major winter storms. Tons of ice is on the way. I'm very concerned about that. We're going to be talking about that throughout this video. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do think weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. Now, I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below, and then also our channel membership, which you can join by clicking that button next to the subscribe button. Check out those tiers. They have very awesome perks. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, what is the maximum amount of freezing rain you think is possible with these upcoming freezing rain events? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now let's get straight into this video, and first things first, we're taking a look at our European model as always, and we're watching this first system that we talked about yesterday close out. You can see there is already some freezing rain there for Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and then some snowfall up a little bit further north than that. So for Maryland, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, you guys are probably seeing some snowfall at this point. And now as we move on towards about Saturday morning, very early, probably about 4 a.m. here, you can see that there is a storm brewing down there in the southeast, and that's going to end up making its way north, and that is going to be our first major winter storm here. As we can see, by the time we're reaching about 7 p.m. there on Saturday, some freezing rain begins for Virginia, North Carolina, D.C., Maryland, as well as Delaware, and then we see some snowfall going on for the Ohio Valley. Now, in a moment, we're going to watch this one progress into an even more potent ice storm and an even more major snowstorm. Alright, now here we are taking a look at that next frame, and this is by about maybe 1 a.m. there on Sunday, February 14th, and as you can see, some more freezing rain for Virginia, North Carolina, D.C., Maryland, southern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. This is looking like a major ice storm at this point, with half an inch of freezing rain or more possible. We're going to have an official snowfall forecast for this storm at the end of this video, and also an official freezing rain forecast, so be sure to stay tuned for that. As we move on a little bit further towards about maybe 6 or 5 a.m. there on Sunday, February 14th, you can see this does begin to make its way north, where now New York City and Long Island is getting hammered by this freezing rain, with again that more moderate snowfall up to the north. And then this begins to weaken by the time we're taking a look at about 3 p.m. or so there on Sunday. There is still some freezing rain and still some snowfall, but it is just dramatically weakened by this point. Now, by the time we're reaching just about that same frame, just a few hours later, we can see that back in the south central United States, we have our next major winter storm developing already for New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, and even up through Kansas, where we have moderate to heavy snowfall for some areas that really do not see it typically. Some more eastern regions there in Texas, and also some more central and eastern regions in Oklahoma. This is going to be a very interesting situation for them, I believe. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to take a look at that next frame at about 6 a.m. on Monday, where we're going to see that snowfall get very heavy for areas like Oklahoma City, Dallas, and Fort Worth, and then even some pretty significant freezing rain as well for some areas. All of that is coming up in just a moment. Now, this is a very interesting setup we find ourselves in. Again, moderate to heavy snowfall there for Dallas and Fort Worth, up through Oklahoma City, and mostly areas to the east of Oklahoma City as well. Even in through the northern 2/3 of Arkansas and then southern Missouri, we're seeing moderate to heavy snowfall at this point, with some freezing rain getting very close to areas like Houston and the very coastal regions there of Texas. And that extends up through northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, northern Mississippi, and then some pretty large chunks of Tennessee there and Kentucky as well. By the time we reach maybe about, I would say this is probably about 11 or 10 p.m. there on Monday, February 15th. We can see this has moved up further north. We're now St. Louis, Kansas City are seeing some moderate snowfall. The southern regions of Illinois as well, seeing some moderate snowfall. Let's just extend this to a more eastern view, and you can see that that ice is coming around for very similar regions. We see Mississippi all the way up through a portion of Alabama, and then that cuts straight through Tennessee, Kentucky, and even into southern Ohio there. And then you can see for Virginia, North Carolina, again seeing some freezing rain with this second system as well, which is going to be early next week. We're only about 125 hours away from the system being halfway done or almost all the way done. So we're pretty close to this one as well. We're going to have back-to-back big storms. Now, hold your breath, because on the next frame, we get a very shocking view at some major freezing rain coming down. And this is really more significant than even the first storm at this point. Look at how heavy that is. That is a significant amount of ice coming down. Also, heavier snowfall than that first snowstorm as well. We see Wisconsin, Illinois, including Chicago. We see areas in Michigan, including Detroit. And then we see areas in Ohio, including Cleveland, seeing moderate to heavy snowfall. And then north central Pennsylvania. But that freezing rain is very significant there for northwestern North Carolina. And then most of Virginia, DC, Maryland, portions of West Virginia, southern Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. This is almost a carbon copy of that first ice storm we saw, but it's just more major than that first one. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to watch this move further north, and then we're going to see a third winter storm develop in just a moment. All of that is coming up. Now, by the time we're closing out this second major winter storm, you can see that we have freezing rain, pretty significant freezing rain for northern New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, southern New York there, most of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts as well, with some heavier snowfall north of there, as you can see. Let's move on to that third major winter storm. And as you can see, this one starts out at about 7 p.m. on Wednesday. So this is just back-to-back-to-back major winter storms on the European model. This would be a very significant patch of just major winter storms at this point. We can see light to moderate snowfall for Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri. So again, just odd areas seeing that wintry precipitation. And then this does move further east where we see Dallas, Fort Worth see some moderate snowfall, northern Arkansas, southern Missouri, and through Illinois and Indiana. This storm is a little bit further south than that second one, but it's still very major. And then it actually on the eastern end ends up being further north. So I guess mostly just the tilt is different. It's not further south or north. It's just the tilted a little bit different there. But we still see Chicago seeing some good snowfall. Also Michigan, Indiana, and portions of Ohio. But mostly freezing rain there for central and northern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, and then a lot of New York, including the Finger Lakes regions there. And then that does extend into Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. So eventually that comes to an end, as that was a third major especially ice storm, but I think those final two storms especially could be major snowstorms as well. We'll talk about that in a moment. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the total snowfall and the total freezing rain with all of these storms, including my official snowfall forecast and freezing rain forecast for that first event, the most minor of the three. Now, as far as total snowfall for the first snowfall event, here's our European model's take on that. And as you can see, it's a very minor snowfall event, not a minor ice event, but definitely a minor snow event. The most snowfall in this storm is going to be for northern Pennsylvania, a lot of New York, and through Connecticut and Massachusetts. That could extend northward into Vermont and New Hampshire, but that's generally going to be about 2 to 4 inches of snow expected within those blue shades. All of the grays are about a dusting, if anything. The freezing rain with this first system, and this includes actually some of the freezing rain that's coming down today as well, especially for Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. But I wanted to include that because that's showing half an inch or more of freezing rain for a lot of those regions. And then look at Virginia there, up through DC, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and through New Jersey. That's a 1/4 inch to half an inch of freezing rain for a lot of those regions. And I really think that up in central Virginia there, up through DC, that's where we're going to be around half an inch of freezing rain, which is significant. That could cause some damage. Now, as far as that second storm is concerned, here's the total snowfall from that one, according to our European model. If you're anywhere in the grays, you're expecting a dusting, if anything. Within the blues, we're talking about 2 to 6 inches of snow. In the purple, 6 to 10, and then in the pinks, we're looking at 10 inches plus. So you can see there's 2 major areas we're eyeballing there: Oklahoma, Kansas, Arkansas, and then also Missouri. And then another one there for Pennsylvania, New York, and then all of New England. Now, for that third system, here we are taking a look, and this is going to be ending by about Saturday afternoon on the 20th. As you can see, this one would bring a pretty good amount of snowfall there from Arkansas up through Missouri into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan there. At least 6 to 10 inches of snow with a band of 10 inches plus. This one's a little less confident since we're, a bit further out. Now, this is where things get interesting. Let's look at the model run, the entire model run's total freezing rain, because we saw multiple freezing rain events. And this is obviously extremely concerning, especially for Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and through Virginia, up through Maryland and DC, even in through Pennsylvania and New Jersey, where there's many areas seeing 1 inch plus of freezing rain, even 1.5 inches of freezing rain for many of these regions within a 1 week period. I mean, this is extremely concerning because that would be a major ice event. I mean, beyond anything we've seen recently at all, especially that widespread. Here's the GFS model through 240 hours, and as you can see, it's very similar outlook here. Some differences in the location, but really we're still seeing significant ice. A little bit less than the European model, but still a lot going on. The Canadian model is in full agreement as well. It especially has northern Virginia there, portions of West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and then even DC seeing 1 inch plus there. The total model run snowfall, according to our European model, reveals that we're looking at a very, very snowy period of time over the next 10 days. Those pinks, like I said, is where we're at 10 to 20 inches of snow, but those kind of like very bright colors there for Oklahoma, Kansas, Texas, Missouri, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and even through northern New York there, and even New England. That's where we're taking a look at about 20 inches plus, even 30 inches plus there for Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Texas, and even extending straight into Chicago and Michigan. If this plays out like this is showing, I am obviously very concerned about both the ice and the snowfall throughout all of these events we have coming up. Stay tuned to our channel because we're going to be updating you guys on all of these storms, obviously. For our storm from the 13th through the 15th, which is the first one, the total snowfall seems to be pretty minor, dusting to 3 inches of snow throughout all of these white regions. And then those lighter blue regions for northeastern Pennsylvania there, and then even then through New York and a little bit of Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Vermont there for those green and Berkshire mountains there. That's where we're at about 3 to 6 inches of snow. Now for my freezing rain forecast here, we're expecting under 1/4 of an inch of ice within that first pink shade. And then in that kind of moderate pink shade, we're expecting about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of freezing rain. And then I think there could be some areas there in those darker magenta shades where I think we will have 1/2 an inch plus of freezing rain just from that 13th through the 14th system. So that's not even including the 2 others after that that actually look a little bit more major. My confidence in this first system is about a 4 out of 6. We have seen some disagreement still in the models, which is leading me to feel a little less confident. We have one more day of forecast, I think, tomorrow. I'll be updating all of this. So our confidence does have some room to grow. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, do you think we will have a major ice event within the coming week or so? And obviously, we know the answer to that now. Gamer Ben 10 said, I think that we do have a major ice event coming, and I certainly agree there. For our patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons: Sebastian Tao, John Benbenek, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry Lepan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons: Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, Mark J., Luke Falago, Gary's, and John Quilisi. If you would like to be a part of this patronage screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comments down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.